Hello, yours truly, John Beattie. Dinosaur News, brought to you April 16th, 2014. I'm hesitant. I hope this rerun takes. The YouTube connection just isn't making it for this boy, and it's not my clumsiness being a technophobe. The computer's working fine. The British People's League is coming in 3 seconds. I will be peering down if this rehearsal here takes properly. Yesterday was very damp in cottage country and fresh snow out of nowhere. And with the dampness, it does affect the reconnecting on the YouTube. I find this even in the summer weather, when there's a slimy day. We're off the main track here, the village, because the computer's working fine. Beattie's trying his best to work fine, and we're doing our best to bring you Dinosaur News 5 days a week, weekdays. If there's an interruption, you can be sure it's the reconnect button. I hesitate to carry it on to the 19-minute mark, because maybe if I try and connect prior to the 19 minutes, we'll be okay. Anyway, that's the way it goes. We're off air some days. It's the YouTube at fault, not Beattie Boy here. Anyway, good news. Yesterday, one more request from a subscriber. These are volunteer people who want to subscribe to our Dinosaur News videos. Climbing up the ladder slowly but surely, but after all, we've only been doing these for 2 months. We're around the 2-month mark as of tomorrow. So it's slowly climbing up the ladder. We'll get there. We'll get the support, donations. They eventually will come in, and then we can expand on our program. Now, last show we were going on about Gene Autry back in the saddle again, and things were looking good at the Bundy Ranch in northern Nevada. As regular listeners know, I don't really like hitting onto the general news with the world out there, because it always gets so tampered by the controlled media. But the Bundy Ranch situation affects our overall philosophy to fight big government, that we just have to discuss it, tune into it. So when the feds all left, we were all hopeful. It was a beautiful scene regardless, with the ranchers herding up the cattle, letting them back free on the range again. Home on the range. But within 24 hours, the federal government are sending in hundreds of armed federal agents. There's a video on yesterday, YouTube. Busloads, and more buses, and trucks and vans, just outside the general area of the Bundy Ranch. Pray to God it's not going to be another Waco. Waco 2. Lots of promises from militia groups, and for sure there were people drawn in at the first showdown last weekend. I personally, watching that 2-hour-long video, didn't really spot what I would call militia types, and they weren't hiding under the underpass. Everyone was in the open. I would say that half of the people that weren't ranchers and came to support the Bundys, and they were armed, but they struck me more as individual patriots who had decided to come. I've been watching the freedom scene for decades, and I get to read people. As I always say, I give a headache, especially to book lovers. I taught my kids how to read people. Reading books, fine, that's down the road, but if you learn how to read people, you can read life, you can read what's ahead around the next curve. And the people I read that were there were just brave individual patriots. Armed, yes, But I didn't see any militia types organized or huddled in groups. And the camera had 2 full hours to wait for the cattle to be released and put back out on the Bundy range. Plenty of time to study the people in the interview. And they were just brave individual patriots. So this talk in what you call the right-wing media on the internet of massive amounts of militia people heading to the Bundy ranch to help them out, I'll believe it when I see it. A lot of bragging going on there. A lot of people in the States, as I understand in my study over the years, are purchasing arms for the protection of their families. And they may brag about, we're ready for them, etc. Bottom line, there has to be an underground, a protective underground. Legal underground? Yes, I suppose, because, you know, you couldn't have an unlawful underground, but an underground nevertheless in preparation for when the armed state of the federal government, I hate saying police state because lots of policemen are on our side, freedom side, but the armed might of the federal government, we have to have undergrounds prepared and ready. I say we, I mean in Western civilization, but particularly America, British Canada, the motherland itself. Yes, now that I've hit the motherland, tidbit of an email from a good coach in our blind list received this morning, April 16th, 9:40 a.m. What the hell is going on? Now British Muslim doctors in London, UK are performing female mutilation in keeping with Sharia law. They are asking, have we finally lost Britain? They meaning patriots. Have we finally lost Britain? Looks as if their patriots, this is written by a Canadian coach, looks as if their patriots are getting a rude awakening. I'll read that again. What the hell is going on? Now British Muslim doctors in London, UK are performing female mutilation in keeping with Sharia law. So the patriots are asking, have we finally lost Britain? Patriots in the motherland are getting a rude awakening. End of quote from a good coach. Well, those on our blind list and those that receive this video are top of the line patriots doing the best they can. A lot of young folks are going to be out on April 19th picketing the South African embassy to stop the genocide in South Africa. Well, I hope they regroup afterwards and start thinking about an underground, legal underground. Because the Bundy Ranch scenario should be the real wake-up call. Waco perhaps was the first wake-up call. But this Bundy Ranch scene should be the final wake-up call. Check out undergrounds in wars. Undergrounds always end up doing pretty damn good. It's the last refuge when you've been invaded. And the politicians in the Western world have allowed the invasion. They are responsible. Which makes you think, well, how are we going to stop the invasion? Forget the democracy. Look at Golden Dawn in Greece. As soon as they get strong, and they're stopping the invasion of the best of their ability, members of Greek Parliament, etc. And the feds there just arrest them all. And don't think it wouldn't happen with groups in the motherland, etc. I mean, I'm all for some aspects of the National Front in the United Kingdom. Some aspects. There's many aspects I don't agree with. But the bottom line is they are for white patriots in the motherland. But there, I just said it, white patriots. Well, the government in Britain have already passed a law then you must admit to membership any race or color. So I admire the guts of those in the National Front of the United Kingdom who say, never, never, never. We allow white people only. Well, I hate to compare things to the Golden Dawn situation, but hey, folks, over in the motherland, National Front types, you realize that if you ever won a seat or two and started to grow, the same law will be applied to you that was applied to the British National Party. You must accept multi-cult members. You could say never, well then your leadership is going to be thrown in jail. This gray-haired boy suggests that you form an underground. National Front spokespeople can be the above ground, but there must be an underground. That's how serious the situation has become. The federal governments in the motherland and in America do whatever the hell they want. I still maintain here in Canada, we've got the best we can have in the interlude until down the road another administrative situation is attempted, as was attempted in Canada in the 80s. Harper ain't Santa Claus, and he speaks the multicult language when he has to, but on the other side of the coin, his family are white, Governor General's white. When the first opening of the Canadian Parliament, a sea of whites, he's doing the best he can, and of course he reinstituted the Royal Canadian Air Force, the Royal Navy. As I said the other day, he's pronounced our flag the red ensign and the memorial fields of France. Out of 200 judges appointed by Harper, only 3 have been multi-cult. So when you're weighing the whines of perpetual bitchers that see no hope whatsoever, weigh that up against the fact that Harper's the best we're going to get. His vote comes from British and our European cousins in the elections. That's who keeps him going. The small villages across Canada and the Western oil men in Calgary, Alberta. Now back to the one-on-one situation. I listen to different broadcasts in the States, and there's one show, one spokesperson named Don Advo. I'd suggested to him that he get in touch with a fellow fighter in California, as they're so limited, who was in the white patriot circles years ago, and the voice is reconnected on an internet radio show. Well, that ties in with my crying the blues of many of these YouTubes. Dinosaur News, brought to you today, April 16th, 2014. The aspect of individual patriots out there, once you've got patriotism in your blood, it doesn't leave. You may get scared, as I repeat, the 167 fine young white patriots, British Canadian patriots, European patriots that attended a rally that the British People's League sponsored, July 1st, 1989. Where have they all gone? They've just practically disappeared. No, they folded into, they were in their 20s at that time, so in the meantime they got married, settled down, they're in their 40s now, mid-career or whatever. But they're frustrated, they see what's going on, it can't escape you. Once you know the scoop as to the perils of federal tyranny in the global market, it's in you. And there must be people out there that even you viewers know of. You might think, yeah, I wonder whatever happened to George or Sally or Susan. They're still out there. Think hard about who you could reconnect with, maybe from years ago. Maybe years ago, of course, you weren't connected by the internet, but now there's Facebook and whatever. If nothing else, And this isn't self-promotion. I'm just the label on the ketchup bottle. But if nothing else, send a link of these YouTubes. Dinosaur News. I think we're calm enough, cool enough, collected enough that they might relax and say, yes, I think I can reconnect with the white cause, the patriot cause, whether it's in the motherland or here in Canada, British Canada or British Australia, New Zealand. Start with one-on-one. There's all this talk on the internet about thousands of people out there, etc., when we can't even reclaim a sheaf of grain that is revitalized with lots of sunshine. Starting to think again. We've got to draw them back into our fold. We have to. There's not time enough to educate people as to what's going on. I'm sorry to put it this way, if they don't have brains enough to see, as the Union Jack on the wall under Queen Victoria behind my back here, and if you squint real up close on the immigration issue, it says, open your eyes. Now, if people can't see what's going on, we don't want them. We want those who have already graduated, who know the score with their eyeballs. They didn't need to read a book about it. They see the multicolored invasion. So this one-on-one thing, whether it's in British Columbia, Newfoundland, Central Canada, whether it's Nottingham in the motherland, Bradford, Birmingham in the motherland, you name it, Perth, Australia, Sydney, Australia, Auckland, New Zealand. Get that one-on-one connection. Fine and dandy, it's fine to tune in to the various internet shows and post comments and what do they call you, chat rooms and so on. But that's peanuts compared to meeting flesh on flesh. Shake the hands together. Here I am, buddy. Here I am, sister and brother. Then you can talk about more from the 2 to the 3 and building and so on. I hope I've sort of got the message across. That's what's going to be needed. The internet served its purpose in sort of unifying the fact that there are patriot groups in the white Western world, what's left of us. Now let's move on. Let's move forward with one step backwards. Let's get back to shaking hands in the flesh. Casual get-togethers, minimum of once a month, in private homes and apartments. This must be done. It's one thing to come up with fantastic sayings on Facebook, but it's another thing to meet people in the flesh. We have to. There's no option left but undergrounds. The Bundy Ranch, before it's done, I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of blood spilled, and the feds will outnumber our people. Oh, I pray for a miracle that all of the militia types that have bragged about how tough they are, I hope they show up, and then I'll have to eat crow. Well, at this point, we're 18, nearly 19 minutes in the show, and I'm praying that this connects. Okay, so that's the talk for today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll do our best to get back at you tomorrow, Thursday, April 17th. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of